we are live again.
And yes, guys, I still think he's nuts.
Yeah, at Seminole County, USA, at the Never Forgotten Memorial Studio on the Oviedo Winter Springs line. And I'm here with Chaplain Kathy again. She has been on the show quite a few times. I think 3 times, a couple of segments here and there, events.
Yeah.
We're doing some great video work for Never Forgotten Memorial, especially on Memorial Day. That was a great, you did 2 videos at one time. That was wonderful. It came out great. They were really happy at Rock and Brews for that professionalism, the video. You got to see that on the site, right? That's up and running. So, but today's a kind of special day today because we're going to talk about the book, the poem, For the Love of Jack by Kathy Costas. His War, My Battle. So when you say His War, My Battle, the name of the book, so tell us, the audience, what the name of the book, how does it resonate with you?
Well, For the Love of Jack is pretty obvious. I started this whole thing because I fell in love with my husband. So everything I've done from that point on, going back to 1982, has been because I fell in love with my husband. And his war, my battle, he's the one that went into combat, not me. But when he came home, he couldn't fight for himself anymore, so it was my battle to fight for him. And that's what families need to understand, is that they go off and they're the ones that go into combat. They're the ones, first responders, they're the ones that go out there and risk their lives. They take on jobs that they know can kill them. Now, we in general know what happens after trauma, is that, things change. But for them, it's not just one time, it's time and time and time again. So for us, it's the one time that did it. For them, it's the one time too many that did it. And it's our job to start fighting for them. So.
And what kind of remedy would you say the most important thing is to Jack that you did to help him come back, to transition back into the United States after, 6 years after the war? You said you met up with him.
He came back in 71. We met in 82.
Okay, 71, 82. So you look, 11 years later. So during that 11-year time, so he had a transition on his own. But when he met you, it was a little different.
It was a lot different. I had the luxury of, I was an Army brat. My dad served in Korea, my uncles were World War II. And the night my dad met Jack, he said, he seems like a nice guy, but he's got shell shock. And I said, what the hell is that? I've never heard that expression before. He was going to the library. So I did. Clinical books and a dictionary because I couldn't understand half the things I was reading. And every free time I had, I went and I read more and researched more and read more and researched more.
A lot of trips to the library.
A whole lot of trips to the library.
Not like it was on the internet.
We didn't have computers back then.
You could have been,
I mean, don't get me wrong, people did have computers. I worked for Service Merchandise, they had CRTs, but as far as personal computers, no.
Right, so yeah, that's a lot of trips. So, a lot of library cards you must have used, right, during that time. So that was the key to, was researching, of course, shell shock now, which is called PTSD.
Right. It was called that then.
It was called.
My dad didn't know. But all the books that I read all tracked it back to research that was done because of Vietnam vets coming home. And they started all that research in the 70s. So by 82, wow, was there a boatload of knowledge on it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, it was incredible.
Can you imagine World War II? How much shell shock
there was
going on there?
Okay, brief breakdown on combat mental illness, because PTSD we know is not really a mental illness. It's not even an anxiety disorder. It's its own entity because it only comes after surviving something that could have killed you. In other words, post means after, trauma is Greek for wound. So, but World War I, the first psychiatrist was better with the troops.
That's good.
And it was psychiatric evacuations. World War II, psychiatric evacuations went up 300%.
Because of research too, I bet. They learned more about it.
They were finding out exactly, what was happening, and they need to go home. Right. Korea, what they did was they took clinicians and embedded them with the troops.
Smart. Yeah.
So as soon as they started showing any type of mental duress, they were pulled out, they were treated and either sent back into combat or sent home, one or the other. depending on the outcome. Psychiatric evacuations went down to 3%. Come Vietnam, and they tried another little trick. It's called DEROS. It's 1 year after they get deployed. By the time they figured out they had something wrong, they were already stateside. So, they were asking, okay, you got any problems? Got any disabilities? Got anything you want to talk about? They were like, oh, hell no, I want to go home. So, even though they knew there might have been something wrong with them, they wanted to go home.
Yeah. Well, you can't forget that in World War II when General Patton smacked that PFC in the hospital because he had shell shock. Yep. He was a wreck. And that was all over the news back then. And a lot of people honored what General Patton did that day because a lot of people were going to stand up. We're trying to go get out of the war and just think of psychiatric.
They were called malingerers.
Yeah, malingerers back then. Yeah.
But the problem is the general public didn't know very much at all. The researchers and clinicians and everything else did, but because Vietnam vets came back and fought for all the research. You had the research, you had the funding, and what spawned off of that was psychologists, mental health professionals, crisis intervention teams, and civilians are treated for post-traumatic stress disorder too. There are different types of PTSD, there's different levels because there are different causes too. So.
Well, it's time for a coffee break, so I'm going to grab my...
You are listening to the Remember the Fallen show with Sergeant Dave, where I'll be listening to my guests, jarheads, squids, wingnuts, ground pounders, and an occasional coastie. Maybe not. But most of all, I'll be advocating to patriots that get a lump in their throat when they hear the national anthem being played at a ball game. You see, one of us can be run off, two of us can be disregarded, but it shows audience, together we are a movement. Once again, you can go to Sergeant Dave at klrnradio.com. If you know somebody who would like to be on the show, has an interest in advocating for our armed forces, for our veterans out there. So let me go to a quick break right now.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
You are listening to the Remember the Fallen show with me, Sergeant Dave, where we will be listening to my guests, jarheads, squids, wingnuts, crown pounders, and an occasional coastie. Maybe not. But most of all, I will be advocating to patriots that get a lump in their throat when they hear the national anthem being played at a ball game. You see, one of us can be run off, two of us can be disregarded, but it shows audience, together we are a movement. All right, so you can get a hold of me at SGT Dave Matthews. Yeah, I got that rock star name. Yep. So it's sgtdavematthews@gmail.com. If you know someone's be great for the show, we'd love to have them on. And you can also go to my Facebook page, Remember the Fallen, all one word. So check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Twitter at Heroic Memorials. And here we are for our next segment with Chaplain Kathy from WoundedTimes.org.
Alright, we're back in Seminole County, USA at the Never Forgotten Memorial Studio on the beautiful Oviedo Winter Springs line. Chaplain Kathy. And Chaplain Kathy is an author of His War, My Battle, okay, for the love of Jack. Her husband, John, goes as Jack in the book, and just an incredible story of being a part of his battle, even though you didn't go to war.
Right.
All right. So I'd like to read a quick segment on chapter 8, page 95. So when you get the book, when you order the book, you'll know what page to go to. It's called 1989-1990 Ghost Hunt. And it reads like this. I watched him change little by little. I was watching him die. The walls kept getting thicker. He drank more, but it was different. He wasn't the life of the party anymore. He was more depressed about his job, our apartment, and his life. He stopped caring about himself and us. He had to be reminded to get a haircut and to shave his face. He didn't care about his clothes. He excused his appearance by blaming his job. Jack didn't want to go over friends' houses anymore. I missed getting together with them. Soon we lost touch with them all. He stopped noticing things around the apartment. He didn't enjoy anything. Most of the time, he was angry and distant. He was disconnecting from us. There's no other way to put it. He was cutting off any ties he had to me as his wife, and he refused to release his emotions to bond with Rachel. I knew he loved her, but he kept an invisible line stopping him at the point only he was willing or able to go. He hardly ever laughed unless he was drunk and found a private thought amusing. Wow, that must have been pretty tough. So that was when the real downfall.
There were a lot of really tough times when we met. You know, by the time that we got married, I knew what PTSD was. And the thing was is that all the research, I didn't read anything that it can get worse. So I figured, okay, you know, you got quirks and stuff like that. But in '86, I miscarried twins. And I hemorrhaged. And he went from going to all the doctor's appointments with me. I was 4.5 months pregnant. He went from going to all the doctor's appointments with me. I had to beg him to come back to the hospital that night. And the doctor was trying to explain to him that the egg split wrong. And all he kept saying was Agent Orange, Agent Orange, Agent Orange. That was the stressor that drove his mild PTSD into super overdrive. And I had to just beg him to come back to the hospital that night, and it was progressively worse. So by the time the ghost hunt was on, he was at his worst.
And so ghost hunt, what does that reflect back to?
Because the ghosts that come with them, the ghosts that come with all you guys when you come back from combat. And that section came about because in '84, when we was still engaged, I went to a memorial dedication. It was May 1984. And Jack was marching in a parade, and there was a bunch of Vietnam veterans that he was with, and we went back to one of their trailers and had a cookout. The wives were all outside, and all the guys were inside. And I had a massive headache, so I'm sitting on the couch and just listening to what they were saying. And one of them just kept saying, it's mind-boggling, it's mind-boggling. So I was taking it all in, I was listening to everybody just talking, and I went home that night, and I was like, I got to get that down on paper. And I wrote a lot of poetry at the time. But that actually started me writing publicly about PTSD because I put together a poem. And that poem almost caused us to call it the engagement.
Right. It was that deep, huh?
It was their, it's their words, it's their story, it's their history. I just put the words together in the poem. And it's in the name of glory. The things I've seen and done would boggle your mind. I've seen the death and destruction created by mankind, the living hell I've walked away from, but could not leave behind. It all comes back to haunt me now and makes peace impossible to find. The ghosts of the past that find me in the night make me wonder if my life will ever be right. I've tried to forget what I've done, and now there's no place left to run. All this in the name of glory? There is no end to this horror story. It still doesn't make sense to me now that I'm older. Why, when I was so young, they made me a soldier. and why I had to be part of that war when I didn't even know what we were there for. At 18, I should have been with my friends having fun, not patrolling through the jungle with a machine gun. I did my part just the same, just for my country, and stood helplessly watching my friends die all around me. I felt the surge of hate engulf my soul for people I did not know, and I saw children lose their chance to grow. All this in the name of glory? There is no end to this horror story. There was no glory for guys like me, only bitter memories that will not set me free. I cannot forget the ones who never made it home, some of them dead, and others whose fate is still unknown. And the stigma that we lost what was not meant to win, most of us carry that extra burden buried deep within. All this in the name of glory. Will there ever be an end to this horror story?
Wow, man, that is powerful. I can imagine that you taking those words in and just staying up all night and getting that on paper, right? I mean, you had it, and once that starts going, your brain starts clicking, and great poem. So that poem really started the book process.
It started my public writing about it. It was a couple of days later, and we were at our favorite restaurant, and I handed him the poem, and he picks the poem up, and his hands are shaking as he's reading it, and he slammed it down on the table. And he goes, "How the hell did you dare get into my head?" And I was like, "You knew what I was like when you met me." His ex-wife didn't want to hear anything about Vietnam, and I guess I had gotten too close with the poem, so he just paid the check, and we left it. We didn't even finish the meal yet. Drove home in total silence, which we had never done. I got out of the car, and I figured, okay, that's it. Our engagement is probably off. And I figured we were done. And the next morning he called and he apologized. He said, it's just that I guess I had gotten too close. And I told him, I said, you're the one that let me in. So.
Wow. That, I can see how it impacted him, because knowing you got really close.
Very.
And he's not used to that.
No.
Especially with his ex-wife.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a Dr. Phil episode, definitely there. You know, yeah, you got too close to him, and it probably brought all that shell shock back, and that's probably why he snapped a little bit. And that was his easiest thing, was to go into silence mode, and just like you said when that ghost hunt, how he was withdrawn from friends and not taking care of himself. So going into that silence mode. So if you ever see anybody out there that's been through combat and they start to go withdraw from their friends,
Yeah.
they start looking slobby, don't shave, don't get a haircut, that's a key
Stop
sign.
doing things they enjoy doing.
Yeah, they start giving away their important possessions. That's possible suicide, right? When they start giving away their
They're probably thinking in that direction.
yeah. So there are signs out there, folks, and that's what we're here for. And that's what Kathy does for the last 37 years. She wants to help families. So if you're going through any type of this type of situation, let's just make sure there is services out there that you can call. And we want to make sure we get that phone number out there to the public while we're on the phone right here now. It's a Veterans Crisis Line. You call 1-800-273-8255 and press 1. But you know the veteran's not going to call. It's really the family member hopefully will make the call.
And you can ask questions. Don't forget, you can ask questions. It doesn't have to be to the point where you're ready to, just dial 911. You can ask questions, and they will probably advise you to try and get your veteran evaluated, or give you some type of advice.
And it's free, anonymous. It's a confidential resource that's available to anyone, even if you're not registered with the VA or enrolled in a VA healthcare. So yes, family members can call that number. Really important. If you see any signs like that, do not wait. At any moment, your loved one could be thinking it's committing suicide. He could be an active shooter. You just don't know what's going on in their mind unless you ask questions and bring it all open, like you did with Jack. You got into his head, and that's probably the best thing you did for Jack, was to get in his head and have the empathy there.
long process.
Yeah.
He got diagnosed back in 1990. It took 3 years to get him to go to the VA. It took 9 years after that to get his claim approved.
Oh, so he was fighting his claim as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that could be depressing as too. So let's just go back on the suicide real quick. I know, thank goodness Jack wasn't there in that mindset. He might have been, but you just don't know.
We lost his nephew to suicide.
Oh, you did.
His nephew was another Vietnam vet, and he did commit suicide. And every time I read anything about a veteran committing suicide, it's another dagger to my heart, because no matter how much I knew, no matter how much I could tell him and explain to him and comfort him and everything else, I couldn't get him to listen to a word I had to say. Never figured out why. So, and if there's a veteran out there and you are contemplating it because you think you're a burden to your family, I got a little bit of newsflash for you. If you feel like you're a burden, then stop being a burden. Do whatever you can to end up getting better, healing, recovering. Because if you do what you are thinking about doing, you're going to put a burden on your family they will never, ever, ever get over. Because his nephew committed suicide in 2000. This is 2019. I'm not over it. I keep doing the what ifs and you know, what else could I have done? And it is something that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. So if you feel like you're a burden, then you do whatever is possible to be a better father, better partner, better, you know, better son, better daughter. Be a better person. Don't be defined by what is trying to destroy you. You define the rest of your life from this point on. You define where you go, what you do. So yes, it irritates me that when I hear people running around screaming, 22 a day, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? You didn't even bother reading the report. And you figure no one has done anything before you showed up? So you're screaming 22 a day. Well, I got news for them. You guys know how to die. You know how to commit suicide. Do you know how to heal? Do you even know you can? So much for suicide awareness, because the percentages have gone up.
Yeah, it says here there's a strong body of evidence that suggests that suicide is contagious.
It is.
So when you see 22 a day, and these vets see 22 a day, 22 they hear 22 a day, maybe it's my turn to do 22 a day. Maybe
it's the removal of hope.
Yeah. Well,
there is no hope in that.
I know the commander of 22 a day, one of the from AMVETS, he told me a really sad story, and it took him over a year, that one of his students, you could say, that was going through the counseling, called him up at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, I'm going to be one of your 22 today, and he committed suicide. He left the message on his phone, and he just couldn't get over it for over a year. But he's still a powerful resource for AMVETS. They have, from what I'm hearing, the best track record so far. They had 106 saved lives. Mm-hmm. They actually documented, they saved veterans' lives. So hats off to AMVETS. They're going the extra mile with, and it's this time of year now. It's coming up. We're going to have all the big four, we call them, all the conventions in Orlando. I'm going to try to make a couple. The DAV convention was just recently.
Nope, it's in August, but I'm going to be in Buffalo. So.
Okay, August. So just want to make sure if you're ever in Orlando and you got the VFW, the AMVETS, the American Legion, Paralyzed Veterans of America, all these organizations that usually have a convention in Orlando, and they have it for 2 or 3 days, and it's a great resource.
Yeah.
I recommend any veteran that's going through any type of challenge, or a veteran that wants to volunteer, to get up there. And if you don't have to be a member of AMVETS, as long as you're a veteran, you can be assisted with resources that they already have existing. So let's keep this in mind. This is something that's, like you said, it's been researched for a while now, and this is something you said earlier. Too many organizations have concentrated on awareness without knowing how to translate the awareness into action. Right? You've been talking about this for the last, I think, 10 years since I've known you.
Yeah. let you know, this conversation, when Robin Williams committed suicide, calls to the suicide prevention hotline skyrocketed, and so did suicides. Because people that were really desperate find out someone like that, with everything he had going for him, committed suicide. Where was the hope in it for them?
It's contagious.
It is. It is.
Definitely.
But on the flip side, healing is contagious too.
I like that one. Yeah, we should start a new healing campaign. You know, healing is contagious as well.
The healing campaign started a long time ago, and I started PTSD Patrol as a healing campaign that you are empowered from, to take back your life. It's not impossible.
You know, it says right here also suicide is a problem in the United States. It is on the rise for both veteran and non-veteran populations.
Yes, it's growing up every year. So suicide awareness has done absolutely positively no good at all.
Now it says here it's hard for anyone to say with certainty who might fall victim to suicide because it is a hidden thing that you don't see signs of it. Now there's simple signs that we know: withdrawal, not seeing friends, staying in, drinking more, So this behavior it can be noticeable. So awareness does little as it gets people to change their behavior. You got to change their behavior, act on their beliefs, go back to the military ethos, integrity, service. Go back to your ethos, right?
Yeah, but the question is that if they have no hope, why would they want to do that? If they have hope that healing is possible, they have to work at it, then yes, you go back to what is in your core.
Well, let's talk about hope. Where are there some serious, really hope out there? You said 22 a day is not hope. That's a fallacy that you don't see that really works.
The good thing is that message is finally getting through. The Commandant of the Marines came out and was talking about healing, getting help, how it is not a sign of weakness that you need help. The Commandant of the Marines. Why did he come out and say that? Because over 70 Marines committed suicide last year. Over 300 attempted it.
Are these active Marines?
Active and reservists. Not veterans, active and reservists. In the military, since 2012, the average has been 500 a year, active duty and reservists. And it was also predicted back in 2009, if they did the resilience training they were planning on, they would increase suicides, and I wrote about that back in 2009.
All right. Oh, we're going to take a... All right, so we're back from our multiple breaks. Isn't it nice when you're in your own studio, you can take breaks? Coffee breaks, all right? This is good stuff. So, wow, this is another strong, powerful statement you're making. The analogy is incredible when you compare a woman as the Vietnam wanting him more than you, and you had a fight. It was like fighting against a woman.
It was.
What an analogy. Wow, tell me more. Read that section you got there, because audience needs to hear this.
I was fighting all the ghosts chasing him, demanding his attention and taking him from me. It was as if I was fighting a woman who wanted him. Vietnam was the other woman. She had him for a year and wanted him back. She wanted to take away all the good remnants of his soul that she was unable to yank out of him while they were together. I was not going to let her win. Vietnam couldn't win. As far as I was concerned, I was not about to lose to the mistress of his past. I was not about to allow her to be in his mind instead of me. I was not going to allow her to be in his heart, corrupting where I was supposed to be. I would not look into his eyes and see her reflection staring back at me. Every time I looked into his eyes, I saw the pain. She was there, calling me to fight her. Vietnam was determined to win and take him away. She didn't know who she was up against. He meant too much to me, and I remembered all she had taken away from me.
That was an incredible analogy. So that is a demon, right? So the demon's working in him, and use the analogy of a woman taking him away. So the demons continue pulling him back into the battle. And you are
The flashbacks.
the flashbacks in the nightmares at
The
night.
nightmares.
Nightmares at night. So, and it kept pulling, but you were not going to give up.
Oh, hell no.
You were like, I'm on to something here. Your talents obviously came out. You can write very well. You express it well. But that is a unique analogy that Vietnam was the other woman. That was an incredible concept.
Thank you.
You got into that. Was good. Got to pick up that book. It's on page 121. And tell, how can they get the book, Kathy?
You can get it on Amazon, and I got it really cheap. And if you're a Prime member, you can read it on your Kindle for free. It's not to make any money. I actually had to republish this in 2012 because I got the copyright in 2002, self-published it, and the publisher basically ripped me off and refused to stop selling it.
Without giving you
Which,
royalties?
if you watch my videos, go make sure you see Flusher Copyright because it has the company and everything else in it and what happened. But I republished it in 2012 for the 10th anniversary of my copyright. And yeah, this is not to make money. This is
Awareness.
this was written to change the outcome. This is written to change your love story.
Tell me about the shirt again, Kathy. The shirt you're wearing.
The shirt, yes. A bunch of us got together. We were sick and tired of the doom and gloom and, the 22-day, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, we're going into the empowerment zone. And everybody can understand the vehicle you drive, right? You have to get a learner's permit and figure out how to drive it. Learn the rules of the road. You got to do that in your own life, too. Then you get behind the steering wheel. You got to figure out how to get to where you want to go. So you got to learn how to drive. And then you're a student. Well, you got to learn how to drive your life, too. Then you got to figure out how to navigate. You ask the directions to get where you want to go. There's directions on healing, too, to get you to where you want to go. So everybody can understand the vehicle they drive and not the vehicle they live in. So this is all about, I've been doing this since 1982, so I've been basically clearing the way like a pioneer.
Clearing the way to take back your life. And you got a snowplow because you're from New Hampshire.
No, we're from Massachusetts.
Yes, it's okay, close. You got to move it.
He was actually mad that, because a woman I work with designed the truck. He was out plowing the roads in the winter. And I was thinking about, it was like winter time, and I'm thinking about, I'm sitting outside having a cigarette. It's like a really nice weather. It was unbelievable snow up in New England. And I'm thinking about the snowplows going out and clearing the road. So when she came to the office, I said, I want a stinking snowplow. She goes, for your logo? And I went, yeah, clearing the road. Nobody goes anywhere unless the plows go out first.
Yes.
But my husband was actually mad because he drove a grader. And I'm like, can you imagine explaining what a grader is to people in Florida?
Yeah, right. So I like that concept. That's a good concept, Kat. How do you get that T-shirt, Kathy?
You get the T-shirt by going to PTSD Patrol, and you can order it. And it is BOGO. You buy one, you are giving one to a veteran.
I got one. I
know
did
you
the
got
BOGO.
one.
I'm sorry, I went looking for it this morning. I cleaned my house just recently, and I put all my stuff away, and it's somewhere in a drawer.
If you use it for a dust cloth, you're in
No,
trouble.
I'd never do that. No. I was looking for it, but I got my Eagle shirt. You see, I got my Eagle shirt. Got my veteran hat as well. And before we leave, I'd like to kind of show you a little bit about the studio, Never Forgotten Memorial Studio here, as some of my Never Forgotten memorials that I designed on the wall here, and then of course Brandon J. Wadman, the 9-year I lost in Afghanistan in 2004, his memorial 5K run, and just some of the other stuff I've done with being involved. Someone like you, I'm out in the public And like you, I'm getting burnt out, just like you.
Yeah.
It's just like we go after 3-4 years of this and out in the heat, and it just takes its toll. And then when you don't have funding coming in,
Yep.
that's
It
another
makes it
thing that
hard.
really takes its
Makes it
toll.
very hard.
So you really gotta do a head check on how much longer you're gonna do it. Like you said, something always pulls you back in, right? Something pulls you back in.
I've been burnt out. I can't count how many times I've been burnt out and just don't want to do this anymore, and I want to retire. But it's in my DNA now, and I mean, there's an expression that, you know, when your fire goes out, in other words, your passion goes out, is God lights another match. Well, in my case, he gave up on the matches a long time ago and went to flicking his back.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, I think his fingers got tired.
Yeah.
But it always pulls me back. But the best thing that I can tell you right now is I worked for a church for a couple of years, and the youth pastor was telling me the story about preparing for sermons. They do it a month ahead of time. They work it off the calendar. She was writing a sermon one time, and all of a sudden it goes off the rails. It just went in a whole different direction she wasn't even planning on. She just went with it and wrote it. Well, about a month later, she's delivering the sermon, and some of the parishioners were a little bit upset with her and telling her it didn't make sense. It wasn't her usual sermon. Well, an elderly lady came over to her with tears in her eyes. How did you know that was exactly what I needed to hear today? She had never seen the woman before. So it doesn't matter how many people hear what you have to say. It's only the one that needs to hear it that you're there to say it.
Yeah. That's like I say, if my events, if I can change one person, especially at younger youth, remembering our fallen, I did my job.
Yep.
And exactly what we did at Rock and Brews, we didn't advertise it.
Nope.
Notice what was in the restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and we had over 70 at the one at the airport. Great turnout, and you could go to your website,
Yeah.
PTS Patrol.
No, that one's on Wounded Times.
Wounded Times, that one. And you can also go to Remember the Fall and see it on that one,
Mhm.
all one word on Facebook. And Remember the Fallen from Agent Orange as well on Facebook. So look at these videos that we do. We were out in the public, out in that heat. You know, I had the bagpiper. It was an incredible
He was
day.
in full uniform, and it was over 90 degrees.
Oh yeah, it was hot. It was hot. But you know, Memorial Day is what I do for to remember the fallen. I'll do that every year to honor Staff Sergeant Robert James Miller, Brandon N. Salazar, Brandon Wadman.
It's getting 0:30 for the show, and I'm just about ready to go into rack ops mode. But before I relax, never one last promo. So go to sergeantdavematthews@gmail.com. And if you got someone who can be on the show, we'd love to hear more about that. And go to my Facebook page at Remember the Fallen, all one word. And you go to my Twitter handle at Sergeant Dave at Heroic Memorials. And if you're not into the Twitter bird chirping thing, please go to my website, www.neverforgotmemorials.org. And you can donate if you prefer to do that. We need the funding. And mark your calendar every Thursday night on your phone at 8 p.m. Eastern Time at klrnradio.com. Select shows and tap whatever show is running. And that show should be mine. It says Remember the Fallen every Thursday night. That's in order until all the troops come home. All right. Fall out. Pop Smoke out.